All right, guys, happy Saturday. We are here in San Cristobal de las Casas in Florazón Sagrado, a magic community space. And we are joined by the vision holder, Venus, a magician in many ways. And we are so excited to hear more about him and hear more about this magical community space that have opened the doors to us and our team on our road trip from Tulum here to Chiapas to explore communities in all different phases and levels. Venus, tell us about yourself, brother. Where are you from? How did you arrive here in San Cristobal?
Well, I'm from Mexico City,
Okay.
and I have been traveling my whole life with my family, with my parents. We traveled quite often, moved around a lot, and we ended up going to Canada.
Right.
And we ended up in Canada again, from city to city, moving around. And you know, my parents, they're very, very, very community minded.
Beautiful.
So they always opened the doors to different people. They were always of service, helping others, helping families, helping single moms, helping everyone they could in any way.
Right.
What a beautiful gift to give to your children, the sense of care and sharing and nurturing.
Yeah, that's the example that I was raised in. You know, we always had 6, 7, 8 women in the kitchen just cooking these beautiful, beautiful meals, sharing recipes from their grandmothers. And we always had this sense of like the most delicious food and most beautiful community vibes, right? We always shared meals together, and then we would go on road trips to different places and connect with the earth, connect with each other. We would convoy 5, 6, 7 vehicles.
Wow.
And we would travel from one city to the next just to go on a 10, 15, 20-minute hike.
Right.
And then we would have picnics with all of the stuff that was prepared. So yeah, it was really, really, really beautiful. They had a very strong faith, Catholic.
Okay.
And so I was raised with these very, very, very strong values from a Catholic upbringing that, you know, they met at a retreat. My mom had been living in a convent for 2 years.
Wow.
And my dad had been living in a seminary for 4 years.
Wow.
And so they decided, after spending enough time together, that the best way to spread the word of God was through 7 children. So I'm the oldest 7. And they really impressed upon me the importance of strong values, of a strong moral code and devotion to service, to humanity, to myself, and to God. And so it's funny because as I was growing up, my mom told me that I had to be a doctor.
Right.
I was here to help people. And but she said that if I didn't want to be a doctor, I could be a magician. Yeah, because she loved.
Became both in your very own way.
Yeah, in a strange way. So here we are, you know, following this path. My dad wanted me to be a missionary because he was following that path, and he thought I had a really good sense of justice.
Right.
So he thought a missionary or a lawyer, and that's exactly it. I feel like in my own way, I've come to, you know, blend these different ideas in a way that's in alignment with me.
Right.
And I think one of the most important things is to have this sense of devotion. And I have a really, really strong sense of purpose. You know, I feel like a lot of people, they struggle with their identity. They struggle with, you know, with their wants, with their needs, with what they're here to do, or even their hobbies in some cases.
Right.
For me, I've always just known that this is who I am and that this is what I want. So what is this? Well, I think from when I was very, very, very young, I knew that there was something really, really wrong, really, really sick with our world, with the earth, the way that we were treating each other, the way that we treat animals, the way that we treat the environment.
Right.
It was just mind-boggling to me. How can all of these genuinely good-hearted people, you know, that have all of these beautiful intentions, be co-creating such devastation? You know, it just didn't make any sense to me. And I thought, oh, science is going to fix it because, you know, all these scientists are coming up with all of these cures and these Nobel Peace Prizes are being offered for, you know, technology. I remember thinking, wow, in the future, this is going to be like this and like that. And I would talk with my brother about all of the beautiful things that will come as a result of this innovation, this technological and scientific advances. But more and more, I saw the corporations just continue to pollute and contaminate the minds of the youth and the environment that we were growing in until it became normal and accepted. And it's just so easy to bypass, you know, to just, well, it's for a reason, you know. Something is happening as a result, and so it's okay that we're polluting. It's okay because we're making money and because you know, medicine is actually helping, and it's okay that some people get sick because they were already sick anyway. And I just think that
the means to an end justification.
Yeah. And what it actually ended up doing is continue to justify the means without getting to the end. The end was actually a lie. It was a fabrication that was sold to us, and the means perpetuated, and the pollution continued, and you know, the exploitation of resources and the exploitation of our minds and our genuine good-heartedness that we have inside as human beings. So I really believe that what that created was a deep wound, and an inability to navigate this wounded state, a trauma that we've received that we don't really quite know how to reconcile. You know, I've studied for so long, how do we get back to what we already have and what we all crave? Because I believe it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, what your background is, everybody wants the same thing. They want love, they want safety, they want connection. You know, and in many cases that connection means, oh, you know, I'm a hermit, or, you know, I'm an introvert and I need my space. Well, to reconnect, to reconnect to the self. So it's about reconnecting to spirit, it's about reconnecting to the earth, it's about reconnecting to each other, and about reconnecting to ourselves, to our center.
Beautiful.
And so how do we achieve this? Well, we just have to go out and do it. You know, because we can talk about all these grandiose ideas that are just beautiful and inspiring, but unless we're actively doing the work, then we're not really going to get there.
How do you bring this into community life? You're a strong space holder in community. How do you implement this into your practices within the community?
Well, there's a couple of key components. The first is you have to lead by example. So you have to walk the talk as a self, as an individual. The second, I believe, is through culture. So what is culture? Well, culture is art, it's music. Culture is conversation, you know, exchanging ideas. Culture is our background, you know, where we come from, and the lineage that's been gifted to us, you know, and culture is our food.
And the practices and the rituals that we share as a collective.
Exactly.
At times,
And so going back to these rituals, going back to the sacredness of what we hold dear to us, and sharing that lovingly, including food. You know, I'm super passionate about food. I've been a vegan chef for over a decade, traveling and sharing this culture, you know, and traveling the world through food. And so discovering different dishes from all over the world and sharing that with people from those countries that say this tasted like my grandmother's. You know, I had one Ukrainian friend, he tried my borscht and he says, this was better than my mom's. He says, it wasn't better than my grandma's, but it was better than my mom's.
Can't be the grandma.
No.
You just can't.
So a short aside on your vegan journey, Venus was actually at Ikumal. In the time when we started our journey through the community space, the project in Akumal, Mexico, Ikumal, where Venus made a time there, potentially as the vegan chef of the space. We checked in there when we left to finish our plastic mission. Venus spent some time there in those months, and then left to connect with his partner. And we came back in February of that time.
It really kicked off our journey in regenerative community co-creation, which is so magical. Like the Eco Mile is a place so dear to our hearts and so dear to our mission. We really understood the importance of regenerative communities for humanity and the ecosystem, and where we found the inspiration to take this mission global and empower, inspire community creation all across the world. So this is a beautiful alignment that we're finding here with Venus.
You definitely left that community energy there, man. We picked it up and ran with it. So we're super grateful for that magic that you like dropped in there. And so on this track of communities, right, Venus, we see where you started on that journey with the family, the principles that were bestowed on you through the culture of religion there, of Catholicism. I was raised Catholic as well, so I'm very familiar with the strong principles that come from this religion. It's beautiful and allows us to make decisions based on those really authentic principles. From that point forward, what was your teen years like, your early adulthood like? Where did you go? How did you personally step into the community space?
Well, when I moved to Canada, I couldn't speak English.
How old were you?
I was 9.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like torn between two worlds. I could see that my family had this beautiful, beautiful community, this heartfelt sense of belonging. But I could see that in my school, myself and other people didn't have that.
Right.
We were kind of like outcasts looking for something. Everybody was trying to fit in, was trying to be a certain way, was trying to show up. I remember one time this boy who was one of my peers, and we used to play soccer and together, and he was amazing, and I looked up to him. I was like, wow, like this guy is really, really good. You know, being Mexican in Canada, I saw myself as a relatively good player.
Yeah.
And one day after school, he came up to me, and he pulled a knife on me.
Oh.
And he like kneed me like in my genitalia really hard, and he says, "You're not welcome back in the soccer field." And I was just like, wow. And he was with 3 other bigger guys, and I was just like, how is it that in my school, as a 9-year-old, I'm being exposed to this level of intolerance and violence?
Right.
And it was just so shocking. And I was really, really, really hurt, because I really looked up to, I thought we had a camaraderie, you see?
Right.
And they were in a gang, and I didn't for a second think about the implications of that.
Okay.
I was just shocked with the reality that this is the world that we live in, and something needs to be done.
Right.
And so I just hugged him, and he just kind of like looked at me, and then he pulled away, and he's like, "Get out of here right now." And so I just walked away.
Right.
And after that, I was like, there's got to be another way. There's got to be another way. What can we do? And so I decided to live a life that was inclusive of all backgrounds. And, my best friend, he was Chinese, and he didn't speak English either. And somehow we communicated. And I realized that we are all looking for that connection.
Right.
So how is it that I can create these safe spaces for other people? And for myself, And so, I really started exploring genuine, heartfelt connection. Cool. I thought beyond words, we could communicate with our eyes.
Right.
We can communicate with our energy, with our hearts. And, I'm raised Catholic, so like anything to do with magic or with witchcraft, beautiful as it might be, it's like a strict no.
Right.
But somehow all of these themes kept on showing up in my life. And somehow they kept on pulling me. I remember one day I opened my underwear drawer first thing in the morning. At this point, I'm I think 11 years old, just to go to school.
Right.
And there is a book on witchcraft, ancient spells. And I'm just like, and so I grabbed this book and I started reading. And my mom comes around the corner. She said, "What are you reading?"
Where did you get this?
Oh yeah, and let me tell you, it wasn't a pretty scene.
Right.
And so, but I didn't let that kind of face me.
Right.
I just continued to. There's something deep inside of me that's pulling me in one direction, and these things are happening for a reason. And so I had to continue to seek this path, and I started exploring mysticism. I started exploring different traditions beyond this Catholic tradition that I was raised in.
Which is one great tool in the journey to consciousness and self-awareness and awareness of others. But just like that tool, there's many others, right? Meditation, exercise, food. So it's beautiful that you followed on this journey.
Yeah, and I just felt that they were all doing the same thing.
Right.
Different language, different vocabulary, terminology.
Right.
But it's just the whole connection.
Right.
So going back to this connection, and for me going back to it through food, I really found food to be a window to open people's minds and to open people's hearts.
Right.
And so, I was gifted with having this mother who was just a tremendous cook.
Right.
And all of the experience and the love and the passion that she cooked with and shared all of these beautiful meals with, there's just so much to do with the world of food and my mom. It's just absolutely amazing and super inspiring. And so I started to do that on my own. I started to cook, and I started to cook for my friends, and I started to cook for my family.
Right.
And I remember one day I had this calling to go vegan. This vegan thing happened when I was about 6 years old, and I didn't want to eat any more meat. But there's so many starving children in Mexico and in the world.
Right.
And how dare my parents would say, decline the food that I have the privilege to receive when all of these other children don't have access to that.
Right.
And so, it came from a good space, but in a way it kind of twisted my perception to accept something that I didn't agree with.
Right.
And so it was a long journey to kind of, put a finality to that. And it's not about being vegan. I don't believe that there's necessarily one, band-aid solution for everything.
Right.
And this is like a cure-all. But it is about reducing the impact that we're having, the negative impact that we're having.
Yes. Definitely.
And I have so many beautiful friends who live a local lifestyle that are doing far more work towards what I believe is the survival and the sustainability of our planet and of our practices that aren't vegan.
Right.
But at the same time, I think that there's a way to bridge these two. And this is what we're trying to do.
Right.
And so we do that through sharing. We do that through showing genuine care and affection for ourselves and following a practice with devotion. And I've been sharing this practice and this lifestyle with just about everyone that I have a chance to come into contact with, to have a genuine conversation beyond the surface level. The weather was really nice yesterday.
Right. Okay. Okay. So food, your upbringing, this journey of understanding what people are seeking through connection, and this old paradigm that is very almost toxic. We can consider it in a sense of universal equality, universal happiness. I can see how your journey has led through your evolution into seeing communities and holding space for people to live collaboratively, how it's led you there. Maybe let's discuss, I don't know, where do you see this going? Let's discuss now your time leading up to this space. Okay, how do you feel that these things that have led you, right, these experiences of your childhood and your principles through religion, the situation in your early childhood, and then your journey into finding your own modalities of spirituality, of consciousness. How are you bridging all of these things together to where you are now, and how is this stepping into the community space?
That's quite the question.
Yeah, it's a nice question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's alchemy.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's having the willpower to follow through with a vision and to do whatever it takes to see this dream come into fruition. It's alchemizing all of these different modalities in a way finding where they fit, they coincide, and putting those puzzle pieces together. And so it's been a long journey of trial and error into homesteading practices, into foraging, into fermentation and different methods of preservation, into just different forms of communication with people from different backgrounds. And definitely the world of food has helped bridge those together, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to have a good meal.
Right.
And so if I can make a quality, delicious meal that smells good, and you begin to salivate, and then it nourishes you and it feels good, and it's come from the land, and it's made with love, then I think that people will be more receptive to what you have to say.
Right. Beautiful. So this is how you've opened up to the space, and so we've now met a bit of the background and the magic of Venus and what has led you to this space. In our next segment, we will discuss how Venus is applying this journey and the experiences he has come through in life to the community space, to creating this space. We're going to talk about this beautiful piece that he shared with us last night and what that looks like, and we'll discuss more about where he is now and where he sees himself going with community as the vessel to create this new earth paradigm, right? To evolve from this previous situation that created a lot of these topics of discomfort and that don't feel natural to us, and how we are evolving through this. So stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.